Hello. All right, so today we are going to start division. A little light. Okay, so today we're going to start working on division with decimals. So there's a couple things about division. One is we need to learn the vocabulary for the division problems. And two, I'm going to show you two different ways to complete division, okay? And you can choose whichever way that works best for you. And I had a lot of success with the extra way that I'm going to show you how to divide. Had a lot of success with that the last couple of years in my classroom at Kreiser. Kids really divided a lot more easily than they've ever have before, because division's always been a hard topic for kids to do. So I'm going to just show you both ways. So we're going to divide decimals. Now remember, if I'm writing and taking notes, so are you, okay? So you really have to watch these videos and get these notes down and take them down, put them in your binder so you have them. All right, so when you have a division problem, okay, like a normal division problem, we set it up this way, okay? The number right here, so if we have 5 divided into 10 would be 2, correct? All right, so if the number right here and the number right here and the number right here, they all have names. We know that the answer to any division problem is called the quotient. Okay, it's the answer. All right. And then we know that this is called the dividend. All right, it's being divided. It's the one that is being divided. All right. And then this one right here is called the divisor because he's doing all the work. He's the worker. Okay. So get that copied down. Pause me if you need to. All right. So the only rule with dividing decimals is to bring up the decimal. It's probably the easiest rule that we have with working with decimals. So, oops. That looks like a D, but it's supposed to be decimals. So bring up the decimals. So that is the only rule for dividing decimals. Okay. So from the original problem, you'll bring up that decimal to the new, to the answer. All right, so I'm going to show you two different ways, okay, to divide. Now, you pick whichever way you like. So I'm a teacher that if it's working for you, then do it, okay? So, like, if you like the way that you're dividing, then you choose that way. Use whatever way works best for you, all right? So the original way is, which in my Zoom meetings, we covered division a couple weeks ago. Actually, it might have been last week. I can't remember. It was a couple weeks ago. Dirty monkeys smell bad. These are the rules of division: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That is the way that we divide. Those are the rules. That's the way we've always divided. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That's the sequence that we go. So if we have the division 1, my black felt tip marker's going out. Oh, thank goodness that one's okay. 1 in 3500ths divided by 5. All right. So if you're just doing just a regular old way of division, the number one rule you need to do, well, with either way is bring up that decimal. Bring it up, make it big so you know that that's your decimal, okay? You know that that is where that decimal goes. Then, just like we do in long standard division, you're going to look at that 5 and say, okay, well, can 5 go into 1? No. It's going to be a 0. And then you say 5 minus 5 times 0 is 0. And you subtract, okay? 1 minus 0 is 1. Now you're going to bring down. You're going to bring down that 3. Always put your arrows if you're bringing things down, okay? Always. Because that way you can keep track. You know that you still have to bring that 5 down eventually, and you don't lose track of your numbers. All right, now we're going to divide again. 5 goes into 13 2 times. You put your 2 over that 3, right? Now I'm going to multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I'm going to subtract. 13 minus 10 is 3. Okay, now I'm going to bring down. Now again, I'm going to put my arrow there so I don't forget that I have to bring that 5 down. 5 goes into 35 7 times. That 7 goes over that 5. I'm going to divide again. 7. Oh, wait, I've already divided. I said 5 goes into 35 7 times. And then I say multiply. 7 times 5 is 35. Then I subtract. And I have nothing else to bring down, and I have a 0. With my decimals, you always want to make sure that you have a 0. Or we'll talk about that probably next Monday. You don't have anything else to do. You're done there. So your answer to that problem is 27 hundredths. All right, I'm going to show you another way. If you don't like it this way, don't do it. Do this way, okay? But you can choose. All right, so it's basically the same concept of dividing. Divide, multiply, subtract, and instead of bringing down, you bring up. But you have to make a box. All right. And then you put your 5 on the outside and go on and write your number. So I've got 1. The only thing with this is that you have to make sure that you put your decimal with the number. Okay. 3 and 5. And then just draw lines at your numbers. Okay. You got to make sure that you leave a little room in front of them. And then the same thing. Bring up that decimal. Okay. Make it big and pronounced so you know that's where your decimal's at. First thing, divide. How many times will 5 go into 1? Well, it doesn't. So you're going to say 0, and then you're going to say 0 times 5 is 0, and then you subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Well, instead of bringing down like you do over here, you're just going to bring it up. Okay? Now I'm going to say again, 5 goes into 13 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. And now I'm going to subtract. 13 minus 10 is 3. Again, instead of bringing down, you're going to just bring up. So it's basically the same thing. It just looks different. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract that, and you have 0. Okay? All right, so that is... Okay. So that is all we're going to do with that problem. But those are the 2 different ways that you can divide. And you just decide which way works for you. You can choose. We're going to practice a few more times, but you pick which way you like best, okay? And I'm going to do each one twice. 2 different ways. Okay. But I want you to take notes, all right, of both. That way you can decide. And then, too, you can go back and the reasons why you take notes is one, to introduce you to what we're doing. Two, it's so that you can go back and look at your notes when you're working and your parents maybe can't help you right at the moment, or you can't, I'm not messaging you back quick enough in Canvas or Miss King. You can look at your notes and say, oh yeah, I've got to bring that decimal up. What am I thinking? Okay, so that's why you take notes. I mean, I do that in my classroom too. We always take notes of every skill that we do. All right, so I'm going to start off with, I'm going to do my first one, but I'm going to put divide, multiply, subtract, bring down up here, just so I remember. And I'm going to have 6 into 1 and 200ths. First step, bring up that decimal. All right, 6 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. Now I'm going to subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down. Now, start over. 6 goes into 10. 1 time. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay? Now you got to bring down that 2. Making sure I put arrows so I don't forget that I've brought that down. Going back. After I've brought that down, 6 will go into 42 7 times. Guys, and if you're struggling with your multiplication chart or your multiplication facts, get out your multiplication chart, okay? But you did, I believe you did that today. I think. Or you might do it too. I can't remember. I can't keep my days straight of what we're doing. But you've done that this week too. You did it last week and you did it this week. Okay, so 6 will go into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract that. And I have nothing else to bring down. So my answer here is 1700ths. Okay. Again, let's try it the box way. And if you don't like this way, then tune me out for a minute. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put my 6 here. My problem with the box way is see how sometimes I don't leave enough room for my numbers. And I've done that each year. I don't know why you think. Okay, my first rule is to bring up that decimal. 6 will not go into 1. 6 times 0 is 0. And now I subtract. I bring up my 1. It goes here. 6 goes into 10 1 time. 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. I bring that up, and I'm going to fit that little 4 right there because it's so small. 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42, and I subtract, but I have nothing left. I have nothing to bring down or to bring up. So both, 2 different ways, similar, but 2 different ways to do it, but you have the same answer. So again, you pick which way you like. All right, let's do a couple more. My handy notebook. Okay. This one's a little longer. Beep, boop, 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 beep. They are doing construction out here, and every morning I'm either on a Zoom meeting or doing a video, and they are still doing construction out there. They're doing something to people's driveways, and it is so loud. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it's driving me crazy. All right, so first step is to bring up that decimal. Very first step. Don't forget it. Always bring up that decimal when you're dividing. Okay? Now, thinking about dirty monkeys smell bad, we're going to divide. 2 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 2 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down that 10. That 0 turns that into 10. Now we're going to start all over again. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. And that is 0. Okay. Now we have to come over a little bit to bring that 4 down. All right, because it's all the way over there. But now we're ready to go again. 2 goes into 4 2 times. You put your 2 over that 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Now you subtract, and that's 0. You bring down that other 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract. I have 0. I have nothing left to bring down. Okay. Also, just make sure that you're trying to be as neat as possible. If you have graph paper at home, that can help you keep your numbers nice and neat. But the neater you are, the easier it is going to be to figure out if you make a mistake or just to figure out where you're going with your problem. Okay, let's do the box way. See if I can make it bigger. Maybe I won't run out of room. All right, so I'm going to put my 2 here. And then I'm going to put my decimal with that one. Okay. All right, there we go. The trick is to make sure that you put your line right up next to the last number. That helps. All right, my first thing I do is to put up my decimal. Lost how to say that. All right, again, 2 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 2 is 0. I subtract that. 1 minus 0 is 1. I bring up. Okay, and then you put your 1 there. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. I subtract. I bring up my 0. Okay, 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract. I bring up. And that's going to be 0. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract. I have nothing else over there. Okay, so that is, again, same answer, 2 different ways to get it. All right, let's do 2 more together. My hands. And then we will, you guys will have an activity to do afterwards. Please use your notes. Okay. All right, let's do this one. 3 into 2 and 85 thousandths. That's a long one. And it's cramping. I've not even written that much. So I'm going to bring up my decimal. First rule, always bring up that decimal. 3 goes into 2 0 times. 0 times 3 is 0. Subtract, that is 2. Bring down. All right, 3 goes into 20. How many times? Well, it'd be 6. You're right. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay. Let's remind ourselves, dirty monkeys smell bad. So now we're at the subtract. 20 minus 18 is 2. I don't need to borrow for that because if I look at my numbers and say 20 minus 18, I can figure that out as being 2. Bring down my 8. 3 goes into 28. 9 times. You were right. 9 times 3 is 27. I subtract that, and that's going to be 1. I'm going to bring down my 5. And now let's say that you are just completely have forgotten how many times will 3 go into 15? Like, oh my gosh, I just forgot. Get your multiplication table out or your multiplication chart. Okay, and this is how you can help yourself when you're dividing. All right, look for a 15. Okay, there's a 15. And so there's 3. I've got 15. it tells me 5 times. So use your multiplication chart to help yourself figure out how many times. And like the one that was before that, 28. Okay, well look on the 3 row and look for something that is close to 28 without going over. Okay, well there's 27 and there's 30. 30 would be too far, but 27 would be perfect. So it goes in there 9 times. Okay, so use that multiplication chart because you can use it for dividing as well as, just like you can multiply. All right, so we said that 3 will go into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. And that is 0. That's as far as I can go. I have nothing else to bring down. I don't have a remainder. So let's do our box way. I'm a little close on this side. Whoopsie daisy. All right. So we're going to put the 2, 8, 5. All right, guys, what's my first rule? Bring up that decimal. All right, how many times will 3 go into 2? It won't. And so we say 0 times 3 is 0, and that's 2. Bring that up. How many times will 3 go into 20? You don't know? Okay, well, let's use our multiplication chart and see. Let's double check ourselves. Maybe if I can find them. Okay, so we said we don't know how many times 3 will go into 20. Okay, we'll find your 3. Go down your chart and try to find 20. Okay, well, there's 21, but that's too far. I can use 18, and it would be 6 times. Okay, so make sure to use that multiplication chart if you need to. So we said 3 will go into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. I subtract that, and that is going to be 2. Bring up your 2. 3 will go into 28. We said 9 times. 9 times 3 is 27. Subtract that, and that's going to be 1. Bring that up. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15, and that is 0. Okay? All right, both the right answer, just 2 different ways to do it. All right, let's do one more. Okay. Let's say 6 into 36 7/8. Okay. My first rule is what? Yes, to bring up that decimal. All right, look at the first number. 6 will go into 3. Remember, dirty, monkeys, smell bad. Divide it first. How many 6s can I pull out of 3? Can 6 go into 3? No. So we're going to put a 0. I'm going to multiply. 0 times 6 is 0. I'm going to subtract. 3. I'm going to bring down. 6. Start all over again. 6 will go into 36 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. I'm going to subtract. That's going to be 0. And now I'm ready to bring down my 7. How many times will 6 go into 7? 1 time. 1 times 6 is 6, and that is 1. Bring down my 8. Okay? 6 will go into 18, a perfect 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay? All right. Let's do my box. All right, we'll put my 6 right here. All right, so I have put my decimal right here. I'm going to bring it up right here. Okay. You guys remember to pause me if you need to when I'm going too fast. I'll just drink a sip of coffee. I have 3 beverages out here. I have my breakfast drink, my water, my coffee. Okay. 6 will go into 3 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. That is 3. Bring that up. And we said that 6 will go into 36 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract that. That is 0. Bring my 0 up. 6 will go into 7 1 time. 1 times 6 is 6. That is 1. Bring that 1 up. 6 will go into 18. 3 times 6 is 18. And that is 0. Okay. Remember, you choose which way you want to do it. You can pick this way or you can pick this way. Both are equally as good. One is not better than the other. They're just 2 different ways to do it. This is the regular old way. This is a new way that might help some people because division is one of those skills that 5th graders sometimes have trouble with. Okay, I'll see you in a minute when we do our dividing activity. Bye.